we possibly can. Unfortunately, when Barbara Harvey passed away, she still had some birds on her property, on her permit. And so her family had come to us to ask if we would take on those birds. And we did. And it's been an honor and a privilege to be able to carry on the educational programs that Barbara was so passionate about. So one of the birds tonight will be one of Barbara's birds, Peekaboo. And so it's just, again, a joy to be able to work with these birds. And Marsh Haven is closed for the winter. We hope to open mid-April, if all goes well. And again, invite you to come on out if you have not been out to see us at any time. So a little bit about our raptors. We do have a permit through the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to have these birds for educational purposes. They are non-releasable birds. They all have some kind of injury, which I'll tell you a little bit about as I get the individual birds out. And you will see that they wear equipment on them, and that's just normal for what we use them for. And I'll explain a little bit about that too, or if you have any specific questions, please do ask. And I always say, remember, they are wild birds, so they can kind of do whatever they decide to do. And that's always just a warning that, maybe they decide to do something else than stay on my glove tonight, but hopefully not. Hopefully it'll be a good program and everybody will cooperate. So, and again, I love questions. If I forget to say something, or if you have a question about anything, what they eat or what their personalities are or anything like that, please do ask, because I could talk about them individually and their different personalities all night, because they are definitely unique. So on our raptors, raptors have three main characteristics that make them a raptor and make them different than other birds you may see out and about. And so they have excellent vision. So they are meat eaters, birds of prey. So they are looking for things that are out there moving around, and they use their excellent vision to spot that prey. And then they use their sharp talons to capture their prey. So they capture their food with their talons, and then they use their hooked beak for tearing that flesh apart. Again, as meat eaters, that is their main source of food and what they are looking for. So those are three things that make them raptor. And that's where we get into that thing with turkey vultures, because they don't use their sharp talons to capture their food. So that's where there's the debate, is because they don't fit all that criteria. Are they really a raptor? But then they go back into, the whole lineage thing, and there's just a debate about it. And again, that's not what we're going to, we have enough debates out there right now. We're not going to worry about where vultures fit into this. We're just going to say they're cool, awesome birds. And so some of the benefits to our raptors, and this, again, I can't stress enough, because I know all of you as bird appreciators will agree with me, but part of my job sometimes is convincing people why these birds are so special and why they're so important, and why we need to take steps to protect them and make sure that
my mouse.
that they are out there hunting those mice. So they are, like I said, they are meat eaters. A main portion of their diet is rodents, your mice and your rats that you don't want in your garage, you don't want in your basement. And so these guys are out there hunting every day, doing a great service for us. So they are nature's rodent control. And as Barbara would always say, they're non-toxic rodent control. So you can't do any better than that. Red-tailed hawks, for example, a bird that size will eat close to 2,000 mice in a year. And that's just one bird. And if they're feeding a family, it's 3 times that much. So they are out there hunting for us every single day, doing a great, great service. And there's plenty of rodents to go around. So they will not go hungry, that is for sure. And being a raptor is tough. That first year of life, up to 70% of them will die before their first birthday. And so I always use, math is not my strong point. And so I always use, especially to kids, the example. I say, well, if there's 100 red-tailed hawks hatched this year, only 30 of them are going to live to see their first birthday. And so they have so many things that are going against them. And really that first year is what's going to prove just how successful they are. And even those that survive that first year, up to 20% of the remaining ones may not live to see their second birthday. So it's really, really tough to be a raptor. Some of the things that are going against them, main problem is vehicle collisions, getting hit by cars, especially our owls. You know, at nighttime, it's always harder to see things, and that's when they're out flying around. So many of the birds that we have were here because of getting hit by a car and having some kind of injury. Entanglements, as you see this picture with that great horned owl got tangled up in a soccer net. So things are out there that they fly into and get tangled up. If they can't get out, they become, they can either starve to death, injure themselves severely, or then become something that a predator can get at. And unfortunately, there's still intentional shooting going on. Rehab centers see red-tailed hawks especially coming in every year that somebody has intentionally shot at or shot. And so that's, again, part of our job is to educate people on how beneficial they are and that they're not out there eating game birds in excess. They're, you know, they're just doing what they do. And so people don't understand the benefits of how important they are. A lot of toxins out there, a lot of chemicals out in our environment, and that affects our birds too. And so you think of, if you put mouse poison out in your garage to kill the mice, well, that mouse doesn't die right away if he eats that mouse poison. He will eventually die, but maybe in the meantime, he gets scooped up by a great horned owl that's going to eat him for a meal. So now your mouse and your owl may potentially die. So lots of toxins out in the environment. So I always ask people, you know, think about the bigger picture as you're putting chemicals out there. What else might it be affecting? And running into power lines, getting electrocuted, those are some other problems birds may face. Getting caught in traps, unfortunately, and starvation can be a problem, especially for those young birds, that they're not as good as hunters. They haven't had enough time to practice. And if the winter is really harsh, they can really have a hard time getting through the winter. And then there are some diseases out there too that cause problems for our birds, especially West Nile virus is hard on red-tailed hawks and great horned owls especially. So you can see why a lot of these birds don't live to see their first birthday, because there's a lot out there that is going against them. So the question I always ask is, who will help us? And hopefully all of you who out there will pick a little something that maybe you can do that will help these birds to have a more successful life. So here's just a few suggestions. Planting trees. And Barbara used to always say, if you plant a tree today, it's going to take 30 years or more for that tree to get big and strong enough to hold the nest of a red-tailed hawk. So we better get started planting. Providing native grasses, shrubs, and trees for those for the birds and also for their prey to hide in, especially too with ground cover. Having that provides having prey animals around for those birds to hunt. Not littering. This is a big one that I really try to talk to the kids about, because they're finding that more owls get hit by cars where there's a lot of trash and litter along the side of the road, because a lot of that is food scraps. You know, you've eaten your apple and you finish it up, you get to the apple core and you throw it out the window. And I used to do that too, thinking, oh, something will eat it, you know, or it'll just biodegrade. But what they're finding is that rodents are then attracted to this trash and garbage along the side of the road. And then the raptors are attracted to the rodents there. And then they end up getting hit by cars. So not littering can be a huge help, especially for our owls. Thinking about the chemicals, again, that we put out in the environment and how it may affect these birds. Leaving dead trees standing is huge because some of these raptors are cavity nesters, like our eastern screech owls, our barred owls, our kestrels. And so leaving those old dead trees standing to provide a place for them to lay their eggs in and raise their young can be really, really helpful. And of course, if you don't have trees around, putting up some man-made nest boxes can also encourage that nesting habitat for them. And then just talking to other people and educating them about how important these raptors are. If you hear somebody saying bad things about, you know, that red-tailed hawk, I think he's eating my chickens or whatever, you can kind of clarify about the fact that really the diet for red-tailed hawks, 98% of it is rodents. So yeah, they may take a bird here or there, but that's really not what they're feeding on. So just educating other people, and then again, reinforcing the benefits to it, how important they are for catching those rodents and being nature's rodent control. And then just supporting groups, education, conservation groups that provides habitat for these birds, that provides education for them, and also people that do wildlife rehabilitation, because they are very much needed. And they are not supported by the government. It's all through donations that or out of the pocket that they do the good work that they do. So those are just a few things that you can do, and hopefully you can pick one of those out there or share this information with somebody else to make sure the birds have a more successful time in their life. This was always one of my favorite quotes that Barbara Harvey would give as part of her program by Chief Dan George. And I think it just really sums up the fact that we just need to educate ourselves and educate other people, because the more you know, the more we understand the whole cycle of life and how everything fits in for a reason. And so Chief Dan George said, if you talk to the animals, they will talk with you and you will know each other. If you do not talk to them, you will not know them. And what you do not know, you will fear. What one fears, one destroys. And I just, when Barbara would read that, I still get a little teary, because it just means a lot to me. And it just is something that I think is very, very important to keep in mind. And so this is Sasha, a picture of Sasha, one of Barbara Harvey's red-tailed hawks. And so if anybody has any questions now, before I get the first bird out, I'd be happy to answer them. But I'm going to stop the share here. Any questions at this moment? Otherwise, I'm going to grab Marta here. All right, so I've got her on a bow perch right next to me. So she has some balance problems, so it may take me a minute here to grab her, but I'll get her up and then get her on glove and tell you a little bit about Marta, the red-tailed. Okay, all right, try to get her so you can see her the best. Here we go. Here we go, baby. Okay, so this is Marta. She is a female red-tailed hawk, and she was hatched in 2018. And so I'll tell you her story because it's really quite interesting. So she came from Atlanta, Georgia, and so she was hatched in 2018, and she's a great illustration of how that first year of life is so hard on these birds. So in probably December of 2018, she was hit by a commuter train. The Marta, which is why she's named Marta. It's the Metro Atlanta Rural Transportation Authority, something like that. And so she was hit by a train and she lost a portion of her right wing. It was a traumatic amputation. It was severed off. And she ended up spending 2 weeks in the train tunnel, trying to find something to eat, trying to survive. She did a nice little rouse there, shake her feathers out and settle them all down. So the train workers knew she was there. And finally, after 2 weeks, they said, oh, she's still alive. I guess we'll take her in someplace. So they put her and the part of her wing in a box and took her to a Wildlife Rehab Center. And she came in, she was emaciated because she couldn't find much to eat in that train tunnel, she couldn't fly to capture it. And so she came in with this wing injury. She was basically starving to death. She lost one of her talons. She had a head trauma. Her beak is all scraped up. And so they really didn't think she was going to survive, but they gave it a chance. And she did. So they called her Marta, the Miracle Hawk. And so she spent quite a few months there in rehab, fattening up again and learning how to perch again and learning how to kind of get around with that portion of her wing missing. And then I saw that they were looking for placement for her. There's a website that I kind of follow to see different rehab centers around the country will post different animals looking for placement, because without that part of the wing, she'll never fly again. And with her head trauma, she's a very kind of laid back, kind of chill bird, and not much bothers her. And so she would never be able to survive in the wild. So she needed a place to live. And so we contacted them, and she came to Marsh Haven in July then of 2019. And so you say, well, she was in Georgia. How did she get to Wisconsin? Well, she came via Delta Airlines. And so she flew here. That was her last flight, unfortunately. And so I went down to Milwaukee to pick her up, and at the cargo hold for Delta. And she's just been a great bird. She has really improved as far as some of her injuries. When I first got her, she, because of her head trauma, she just kind of sat with her all curled up. And she's just good food and time and some stimulation, and give her some special supplements. And you can see she's active, she's looking around, she's interested. And she didn't do that at first. So I'm thrilled that she has made so much progress. But of course, again, she'll never fly. She has some balance problems because of that wing injury. So I have to be very careful with her perches and how far off the ground she goes. And but she's just been a great representative of the red-tailed hawk species. We had her DNA tested, and we do know she's a female. And and the reason I know that she was hatched in 2018 is when she came to us, she still had her barred tail feathers. And they didn't tell me her age. And so I get her out of her travel box, and they had put a tail protector on her. And I'm like, oh my goodness, you're just a youngster. So it was really cool. I got to see her first red tails. feathers come in, and so it's kind of nice that we know how old she is and that. So yeah, so red-tailed hawks, super important, excellent hunters out there, great for rodent control. Again, a bird this size is going to eat about 2,000 mice in a year. 98% of their diet is rodents. And so again, they're doing just a great service for us. So I want to see if anybody had any questions specifically about Marta or anything about her, because she's got a neat story and she's such a neat bird.
Yes, Renee, can you explain maybe the molt, the tail feathers as they age? What and when do they get their first red feathers?
Sure. So when we hear red-tailed hawk, we assume they always have a red tail, and they don't. So they don't get their red tail until their second year of life. So their first tail feathers are going to come in and they're going to have barring on it. They're striped. And so sometimes that confuses people because they're like, it looks like a red-tailed hawk, but it doesn't have a red tail. And so then it's a immature juvenile red-tailed hawk. And so yeah, it was really cool to see that first red tail feather just poke through when she started growing them in. It was really neat to see that transition.
So do they molt in a specific pattern? Say like they lose their inner tail feathers first and then go out, and what's the time frame to completely replace the whole tail, all of the feathers? Obviously they don't lose them all at once. So
right, exactly. You think of wild birds, they molt, but they need to keep flying. So yes, there is a pattern of how they do lose it. I can't tell you exactly in what order, but nature has made sure that they do molt them, that it doesn't affect their flight. They may be a little wonky in flight at times, but not enough that it's going to impede their ability to survive in the wild. So it takes probably a good 3 months is what I've seen, for our birds in captivity for molting. And same with the primary flight feathers too, is in a certain succession of order that they molt those again to make sure that they can still fly. And they don't molt every feather on their body every year. It's usually just the most important feathers, the primaries and the tail feathers that they use and get wore the most often. Those are going to replace every year. But and they will lose other feathers along the way, but they don't replace every single feather every year. It takes time.
Renee, I have a question. You said they eat mostly mice in the wild. What do you feed her and your other birds at the center there? Live mice or dead mice or something else?
No, that's a great question, and one I get a lot. So first thing is all our birds get fed dead food because the main reason they're here is they can't catch their own food, and so it's not fair to them to put live things in that would be frustrating for them to try to catch and potentially hazardous to them. So everybody gets fed dead stuff. Okay. We try to replicate the same kinds of food they would get in the wild. So she tends to get very fat over the winter. And so I really have to watch her weight. So I cut her back a little bit over the winter, but usually it's a day of mice, a day of a rat, a day of mice, a day of a rat. And then once a week, the hawks and the vulture get a chicken. They really like chicken day. And I give them the chicken. It adds a nice yellow color to their feet. And it's like a treat to them. So that's what she gets. But in the winter, it's mainly mice just because we're trying to watch her weight.
Okay. Thanks.
You didn't hear me say that, right? Any other questions about Marta? Okay, if not, then I'm going to put her away and then I will get Peekaboo out. So let's just see her tail feathers here, her beautiful red tail, and you can see her missing wing there where her primaries would have come down. Yes, good girl. All right, I will just set her down and I will be right back with a barred owl.
Speaking of raptors, is anybody hearing any great horned owls duetting right now? It's the about heart of their breeding time.
Not here. None here. And usually you do hear it by now.
We had some a couple weeks ago. Now it's been really pretty quiet. So oh,
Yay, here we are. Here we are. Hi. Oh, I know it's a squeaky chair. It's a squeaky chair. Okay. This is Peekaboo. He is a barred owl, and hopefully he will look at you. There we go, a little bit. Okay, so Peekaboo was one of Barbara Harvey's birds. And so he was one of the 4 that came over from Barbara when we moved enclosures from Barbara's facility over to Marsh Haven and then moved the birds over it was June of 2017 that they came to live over here. And so everybody always asks, why is his name Peekaboo? And I honestly don't know. I never asked Barbara, but my guess is because of his eyes. He has just those, barred owls have those gorgeous dark eyes. And to me, it's always like his eyes look into your soul kind of thing. And so I think it has to do with his eyes and the fact, owls can sometimes, one eye open at a time looking at you, yeah, kind of like Peekaboo. And so that's my guess, but I really don't know. So Peekaboo was, as far as I can trace on the paperwork that I got from him or with him, is he came through Bay Beach Rehab Center up in Green Bay, and he was a car hit. And so he broke several bones in his left wing, and they didn't heal right. And so he has a hard time raising that wing. And again, he will never fly again. And so he is grounded also, kind of like Marta. So Peekaboo is just a wonderful bird. He is my absolute favorite. He has been just my favorite to work with. He's got such a neat personality, and he's such an old soul, and just a neat bird. And he's just so handsome too. So it's hard to not like Peekaboo. And so barred owls, again, these guys are around here year round. They don't migrate. They are cavity nesting birds, and they're the who cooks for you owls. So if you hear their call, it sounds like they're saying who cooks for you all. And I know Jeff can make an awesome barred owl call. And so these guys do like to nest in areas that have water nearby because they do like to bathe very often. Peekaboo, all the birds have bath pans in their enclosures. Peekaboo is the one that uses it the most. So I can always tell that he's taken a bath the night before. Sometimes I catch him and he's still wet, but often it's just I see feathers in the bath pan and I see it's wet around him. What are you looking at? Huh? What are you looking at? Silly. And so they like to have some kind of a pond or stream or shallow water nearby. They often have been found eating crayfish, and they say, because sometimes their feet and feet feathers can get like a pink tinge to them, and they say that's from eating crayfish. And so they do have quite a variety of diet out there. You know, they will eat chipmunks and rodents. And what are you looking at? And so again, they're doing a great service for us for catching a lot of those. People always complain about the gophers and chipmunks in their yard. And so they're helping out keep that population down. Peekaboo here in captivity, he just eats mice. I've tried other things. I've tried to give him quail and other things like that, and he just doesn't want anything to do with it. So he just wants mice. So he gets 2 to 3 mice a night. I'll give him, if he's eating well, then I'll throw another mouse in there. And then if he doesn't eat it, then I kind of back off on his food. The people are always usually amazed by how little he weighs. And so barred owls weigh about 1.5 pounds. So he's usually right around 760 grams when we weigh him. And but he's mainly just fluffy feathers. You know, Barbara always would say that barred owls are a quarter skeleton and 3/4 feathers. So they look a lot bigger than they really are. What else can I tell you about the barred owls? They're called barred owls because of the striping, the barring on them, on their pattern, their plumage. And I don't think I mentioned this, but male and female of most raptors, except like our kestrels, you can tell the difference between a male and female kestrel, but the other birds, they're identical. You either need to do a DNA test or wait till somebody lays an egg, or base it on size and weight. So the female raptor is always going to be bigger. And so we can look at these birds and weigh them and look at size and judge, are they male or female, if we haven't had a DNA test on them. And those DNA tests aren't always correct either. I know of a lot of people that have said for 10 years, this is a male, whatever, and then all of a sudden year 11, their male lays an egg. And so, they're done with that then, because the bird knows. And so Peekaboo is a male. He's on the lighter size. We do have another barred owl, and she's a display bird only. She is not an not a program bird. She just doesn't have the right temperament, and she's a female because she's quite a bit larger and heavier than Peekaboo is. So look at those gorgeous eyes. He's just got the most gorgeous face. So again, our owls are known for their round facial discs that helps divert sound into their ears. They're just super good at hearing things and being able to hunt by sound, especially in the winter and at night. That really, really helps them out. So are there any questions for me about Peekaboo here that I forgot to tell you? A handsome guy.
How old is Peekaboo?
Well, we're not sure. He was an adult when he was injured, so that makes it hard for us to guess his age. I do know he's been in captivity for at least 8 years. Our vet has said that he's very old, and I don't know what that means. Does it mean he's 12 or 18? And I hope he will live forever, but we do know he's on that upper end of things. Barred owls can live 15, 18 years. So we know he's up in that area. Any other questions about Peekaboo? Okay, well, if not, I will put him away. And then we'll cross our fingers that my video works for Blackberry, the turkey vulture. And then we will meet her too, so.
Question, are you able to show how the feathers silence their flight?
This is his bad side, so we do clip his wings here because otherwise it drags on the ground. And on him, I don't know how close we can get. So we're gonna look at the flight feathers because that's ones that are serrated edges. And it just looks like it's rough. So I don't know how well that actually shows up on the video here. But those serrated edges provide for silent flight. And that makes them so stealthy at nighttime and makes them so good at when they do fly. When I do programs in person, I usually have a hawk feather and then a owl feather that I pass around that people can actually see the difference, because then it's very apparent.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. All right, I will go put Peekaboo away. I will be right back. You're unmuted. Nope.
So if you've heard Renee talk about Barbara Harvey, and Renee has done this wonderful tribute book to Barbara that she wrote using her letters and things from the Marsh Haven newsletter over the years. Is that correct?
Yes, that is. Before Barbara passed away, she didn't realize how sick she was. And but she had came and she asked me to do a book. She said, you know, I really want all my stories put in a book. And I said, okay, that's great. That winter we were going to plan to sit down and do that. And then unfortunately she, you know, got really sick really fast. And so that never happened. But I had promised John Jensen that I would do it. And he kept after me and he said, you know, I'm getting older, and it took me 4 years, but I got it done last spring. And, you know, sad to say that John just passed away after Christmas. So I'm so glad I got it done.
Thank you so much there, Renee, for that. The book is called Stories from the Bird Lady, and it's available how?
It is on Amazon, or you can get it through Marsh Haven. You know, I can mail it out, you know, just give me a call. I can do a drop off. I can meet you there. And we set up a fund, Barbara's Birds Fund, that all proceeds from the book sale would go towards providing care for the birds. So you can certainly buy it through Amazon, but honestly, you know, we make a little bit more money if people buy it through us. So
I would help you get it out as well.
yes, we can. Rick can run some errands, so that would be awesome. So just, yeah, if anybody's interested, certainly let me know. Okay. All right. Okay, I practiced this like 5 times. And share screen. And then sorry, talk amongst yourself. Yes. Open in
Also,
Zoom.
a quick bird joke here. Did you hear the one about the vultures that were carrying the dead rabbit on the plane? And they said, sorry, we can't bring that on. You know, we can't bring a dead rabbit on a plane. And they said, oh, no, that's our carry-on.
Hey, Jeff.
Okay, then do you happen to see that on the screen?
No,
No, okay.
just you.
Yeah, well, that's what's important is I want you to see it.
You have to share screen. Let me pucker up here once. I'll do my Bard Owl while we're killing time here. So the it's gonna say who cooks for you, who cooks for you all, and it's gonna go. Woo, 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 woo. And a lot of times you'll get just the what we call like a monkey howl. It's gonna go. Woo, woo. And a lot of times you'll get it like you're alone in the woods and you get just this screech like a woo.
That was
Okay.
awesome.
Yeah, that was very good. Okay, nothing yet?
No.
Okay, all right. Well, we're gonna wing it then. Haha, wing it, right?
Oh, very punny.
Okay, so I had this great video, her doing stuff and all that, and just because she, you know, she's a little unpredictable yet, but we're gonna just see what happens. So I'm gonna go get her, and hopefully I can. Her on it.
Be better.
Yeah. And forgive me if anything goes wrong. Okay? Rearrange my furniture and I'll be right back.
Jeff, you want to talk about our thing tomorrow?
You got the details, Rick. Go ahead.
Well, if anybody from Bird Club did not see the Snowy Owl presentation, we are doing it tomorrow through the Waupun Senior Center. I would assume Jeff has all your emails and he has the Zoom invite. So if there's anybody that would like to see it, get a hold of Jeff.
It'll actually be the same user our ID and password as this meeting. We use the same meeting ID and passcode every time.
Oh, okay.
So if anybody wants to watch it, what time is it tomorrow?
10:30.
10:30. So we're using my Zoom or your Zoom.
You're asking the wrong guy.
So we'll get that figured out.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
kind of important.
As I understood, Rachel was going to bring everybody in that asked to get in, and then was going to turn the screen sharing over to you and I.
Okay. Yeah. So that'll
Oh.
probably be her Zoom, I believe then.
Oh, okay. So that's going to be a different meeting ID.
Yes.
Yeah, and I did mail that to Jeff.
Yep.
Oh,
I
okay.
got that. So.
How long does that presentation last?
Well, we're going to have about 100 third graders on this thing, as well as the seniors and some other friends. The better bulk of it, we were told to have all the important stuff done in a half hour. Then there's a group of third graders that are going to leave, and we will have another 15 to 30 minutes if we want it.
Thank you.
Okay. I better talk fast then.
Okay. Other
So-
voices,
Yes.
not sure who
Oh, okay.
those noises. Right, so this is Blackberry. And see if I can, yeah, it's okay, baby. Here. Yes, good girl. You want to get on here? You want to step? Okay, so Blackberry is a female turkey vulture. We did send in her feathers for DNA testing. We're assuming they were correct, that she is a female. She was hatched in 2019. And we know that because she came in with her juvenile head. So she didn't have the red head until she got a little older. She was found in Germantown. She was grounded. So she had a wing injury that prevented her from flying. And I can spin around here so you have a better view. And so the rehabber took her in and found out that her wing injury was permanent and that she would not be able to fly. And so she contacted us to see if we wanted a turkey vulture for our educational programs. And so the biggest thing was trying to get her used to people, because vultures, when they're nervous, they will puke, they will vomit, because they lighten the load and then they're able to take off and fly. And so the first probably 3 months that I had her, as soon as I would walk in her enclosure, she would puke and vomit. Really nice to have that as a welcome present. So just trying to get her used to people. And then the thing about turkey vultures is they have very weak legs. Okay, so they're not like our raptors that we can put jesses on and use that to restrain them. So everything with her is we're using food and doing positive reinforcement. So I don't restrain her. So if she wants to fly off, she can fly off. If she wants to walk away, she can walk away. So it's just been a lot of reinforcement, a lot of food tidbits. And again, you know, she's not used to a lot of other people. So when she hears your voices, she's like, I hear these voices. I don't know them. Where are they? She's looking around for you. And she doesn't understand why she doesn't see you, because she knows somebody's around. So she's just a little nervous yet. So it's going to take some time before she's ready to go out in person programs, but I've been very pleased with how she's doing. And the video was nice because she was just so relaxed and, you know, really showed herself off very, very well. So vultures are super important to the ecosystem because they're out there eating dead stuff. Like I said, they don't hunt live prey because they have very weak legs. Their talons are not sharp at all. And so they use their big old nostrils here, the hole there, pulls in scents of dead things that are out decaying. So they're nature's cleanup crew. So they just do a really good service of cleaning up things that could be diseased or rotting stuff. And in this area, turkey vultures will migrate then for the winter. And because they don't have any feathers covering their legs, and so they need to go to a little warmer climate. So she's starting to relax a little bit, that she's eating, willing to eat more. She's very curious. So she's been so much fun to work with because she's got such a personality. So she's always using that beak and getting in all kinds of stuff, all kinds of trouble. I left my glove laying around one time, came back, she had totally tore it up. That beak is very, very strong. It's amazing how she can pick meat off of bones. And she's just, like I said, quite a character. So they will just ride the thermals, their big old wingspan, you know, close to 6 feet wingspan, that they will just soar in the sky, smelling the air, trying to find something that's down there dead and decaying, and then going down, cleaning it up.
Hey, Renee,
And so, yeah, what?
Carson wants to know what you're feeding Blackberry.
Okay, so she has very rich taste. So she is actually getting chunks of Angus stew meat that I cut into really small pieces. She doesn't like anything with fat on. She will throw that out. And so yeah, little bits of Angus. So any other questions for me about Blackberry now that she's kind of settled in a little bit?
So Renee,
Yes.
are female turkey vultures larger than males as well, or is it kind of?
That I was told is more of the opposite. It's the males are slightly larger than females.
Another question, is the Angus meat rotted or rotten, or is it fresh?
No, it is fresh. It is fresh. Yes. She likes fresh dead things. So it doesn't have to be rotten or stinky, but fresh dead stuff.
Are you still feeding her bones?
Yeah, one of the enrichment things for vultures, because they do have a sense of smell or use that sense of smell, is providing them things that they can pick apart. So we get bones that still has a little bit of meat on it, and then that way she can, tear at it like she would in the wild. So it just provides, great enrichment for her to be able to do that. Step here. And so, she's been doing really good as far as she comes to glove. She will sit on her perch. She can't fly very far, but if I stand back, she will, fly to my glove and hop on it. I'm getting her to go in a crate so that we can load her up to take her to programs. And so just, it just takes time and patience. And, she sees you, she sees all this movement here, and she's like, what is going on? And again, very curious birds. Can you step back? Huh? Can you step back? Yeah, there. Oh, good girl. Here we go. Good girl. You got some. So she does wear dresses, but I don't use them except for like moving her. If I need to make sure she doesn't get away, then I will put a leash on her dresses, like to move her outside. But otherwise, everything is through giving her food and asking her to, trying to use food to get her to make the decision to do something. So, good girl. Yes, you are so smart. And they are very smart. They're super intelligent birds. They're super, super smart birds.
Renee, do they ever vocalize other than like the devil sound, or like?
They do not. They do not have a voice box like our other birds do to make a sound. And that's what, Jeff, I was hoping you were going to ask me to pick a bird call to start the meeting with, because I was going to tell you to do turkey vulture.
Oh,
but
that's one sound of almost like pure evil. It's just like
it is. Yes, yes. They
hiss.
They hiss, and but yeah, they don't make any other sounds other than a hiss. They will kind of clack their beak like owls do. She's doing that right now, and that's more of a nervous thing. And then, she's nervous when she'll straighten her neck up and she'll kind of like yawn. And that's like, I'm getting ready to puke, but not quite. So you can kind of read her body language in that way and know how she's feeling.
We were fortunate enough to, a couple years ago, our neighbors had a nesting pair in an old granary. And she invited us down to look them, and actually had spot where we could walk in. And this was just like pure terror. So there's like rotten bones and rusted metal. And you walk in and they like it dark, I'm pretty sure. And so it's in this back dark corner. You walked up to it and all you could hear was this hiss, and then you're walking on rotten boards and barbed wire. It was like, oh my God, you know, this is going to end up in a tetanus shot or my eyes pecked out or something.
But nothing cuter than a baby vulture.
Oh, they're just like a white ball of fluff.
Yes.
That's it, until they get the black feathers, and it's a real long fledgling time. Is that correct? Like 70 plus days?
Yeah, I believe so. I haven't studied up enough on the younger side of things, but I know when we got her in December of 2019, you know, she had hatched that early summer of 2019, and then again, they don't have that red head until they're, you know, at least a year old, and so that's how you can tell if they're an immature or juvenile. And that head is important. The reason they don't have feathers is because you think of they're eating carcass, so they're gonna plunge their head into the body cavity of the carcass to get all the good stuff, and that bald head keeps it so they don't get all that gross, disgusting stuff stuck to their feathers. And so that bald head does serve a purpose. And I know people think they're ugly, but I think they're beautiful. And again, they do such a great service for us. So gotta appreciate those vultures.
Renee, we've got a video. I'm going to just play it and see if you can hear it. These are the baby turkey vultures.
Okay, cool.
Can you hear it? Could you hear it at all?
Very faintly.
Yeah. It's
Sounds like something out of a horror movie, yes.
It does. It really does.
Well, good. I'm sorry you couldn't see the video I had, but at least you got to meet Blackberry, and she did very well, I think. And if there are any questions I missed, because I was focused on her, please let me know. Or if you have any other questions about any of the birds, let me know. But otherwise, thank you so much for inviting us. We're happy we could join you tonight and share the birds with you. And hopefully we can all see each other in the springtime or summertime. So thank you again.
Thank you much, Renee. And I know a kind of a tradition of Barb, she didn't like applause, but everybody just kind of waved their hands and
That works. Thank you.
yes, really appreciate it, Renee. So anyone else have any questions quick, either Renee or about birds, what's being seen, bird club, anything going on in the bird world?
Leslie wanted to
Oh,
tell
yes.
us about
Yes.
her.
Okay, can you hear me? Can you
Yes.
hear me? Okay. Jim and I on Sunday went on the lakefront field trip with the WSO. And I'll just give you a highlight of some of the things we saw. Basically, it was a 6-hour field trip. We started at 7:30 in the morning at the South Shore Yacht Club and worked our way up to Port Washington. Typical Canada geese, herring gulls stuff, but some of the highlights, a horned grebe, a couple great black-backed gulls, an Iceland gull, Thayer's, a lesser black-backed gull, couple white-winged scoters. Let's see. Basically almost 2,000 great scalps, however you pronounce that. That was something. Couple immature harlequin ducks. and a laughing gull. And there were a couple of male wood ducks hanging with mallards and being very bossy. But other things, I mean, there were peregrines and, oh, we had an American pipit. What else? I mean, a lot of things. Red-breasted mergansers, common mergansers, common golden eyes. But it was a fun day on the lakefront.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
So it's going to be at least a couple months before maybe we can get back to normal. But I was just kind of curious as to kind of poll the folks, what other type of Zoom meetings or what other type of things are you watching to keep us entertaining yourself now these days, you know? Just kind of give us a little shout out or a little type something in. What's kind of been your favorite? We've attended some Zoom meetings through other bird clubs. There's a series through the International Owl Center that they've been doing, and those are on YouTube that you can watch. Some great stuff. So anybody else been kind of watching anything, or what they've been doing to keep themselves entertained?
Jeff, I know that Mark had said at the last meeting that he had that video cam that they were installing or did install. And that might be something that people can kind of tune into come, nesting or, migration time.
Yes. Madison Audubon Society has a camera now at Goose Pond. And I don't know if it's live yet during the winter time, but I know it's going to be live during the spring migration. So that'll be something that you can kind of tune in to watch.
Jeff, they may even have news about it on the Madison Audubon site.
Okay.
News thing, if they want to check it there.
Okay. I was speaking with a coworker who is gave a presentation, Eddie Feltz, about California condors, but he's another raptor specialist. He terms there's two types of birds, raptors and the birds that raptors eat. So that's birds according to Eddie. But he was saying now that the peregrines are making such a great comeback in the state of Wisconsin, now they're actually finding them in quarries where they have these big rock cliffs. You don't think rock cliffs that go vertical, but all the peregrines are looking for is just a rock shelf to nest at. They've actually found some new ones on the eastern half of the state now, new nesting pairs that are nesting in quarries. So it's kind of cool on how the birds are adapting a little bit. And he said there's those quarries, there's plenty of starlings that nest in the other cavities around there as well, pigeons and stuff. So they have a built-in food source. So it's kind of interesting. Anybody else bird sightings?
Well, somebody just asked about snowy owls, if any have been seen. I've been watching one west of Waupun, and I ran into Kimberly Jacobson out there the other day. She was off for Martin Luther King Day. She had been up to Freedom. She got 3 up there. She came back down to Green Lake, and she got 3 at really close to Big Green Lake, and then came to the area where we trapped them last February, and she got 2 more in that area. So yes, there are snowy owls around.
We also saw a short-eared owl at what was the name of that
Oh,
place?
Fayetteville Grove down in Jefferson County. We went down there about a week or so ago and was able to view a short-eared owl down there. That was pretty cool. It's been a while.
I have gotten more detailed directions from Thomas Schultz of where they're seeing the short-eared owls at the White River Marsh. He had forgot to respond to me, so I just got the message recently. So I will get those directions to you, Jeff, and you want to send them out to people, you can do that.
Okay. Yeah, as cool as snowy owls are, I mean, but they're basically just a big white lump while you're watching them that may turn their head once in a while. Short-eared owls are just the most animated and coolest flyers once they decide to come up. And it'll be, if you get to see one in the sunlight, it's very rare. So it's generally going to be after sunset and just about dark. If you ever get a photo of one, cherish it, because they generally don't come out when there's any decent light at all. But we got to watch this one fly around, and it literally was flying right at us and saw something and just literally spun around midair and then dropped, and must have got some type of prey item. And then from there it went up and perched on a fence post maybe 60, 70 yards from us. But by then it's getting so dark, it's like, okay, I think it's there yet. So, but hey, that's how they make their living. So,
Are Deb and Al still on?
Yeah, I'm here.
I know a couple of years ago, there was some short-eared owls over by the Nails Farms, east of Beaver Dam. Have you heard anything over there at all?
No, I have not.
Okay,
I was by there today. Nothing.
nothing? No, the day we saw them at White River Marsh, we saw probably at least 8 of them.
Wow.
Where in Jefferson County, where did you guys go?
Fayetteville Grove. It's a Madison Audubon sanctuary.
Okay.
It's off of Highway G, in
Okay.
basically between Lake Mills and what's that little bitty town? Not Hubbleton. Yeah, Hubbleton.
Okay.
Known for its beer.
Hubbleton, yeah.
Yeah, Hubbleton Brewery. Oh, Hubbleton Brewing Company. It's a micro brew north of Hubbleton, a little brew pub. One of my favorite places.
Got a great red ale.
You've been there.
I know it. I know that they've been, over by the Nails Farm, off of S in that area over there. They've been seeing the peregrine again.
Oh,
Yeah, I went by there today. Kind of about once a week I make a little pass. They certainly have a lot of prey items. There are tons of starlings and pigeons and house sparrows.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Surprised there isn't owls or, around, off of Prospect, where they have that cat, what is that kind of, is it a cat barn?
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's like hundreds of starlings and sparrows in that area.
yeah, there's some bird club members live near there. Jack and Holly.
Yeah.
And they just recently sent me a photo of a great horned owl they had in their yard, which was absolutely amazing, of course. And then they have they've had last 3 years or 3 out of 4, they've had nesting barred owls right in their yard, which is pretty amazing.
But that facility, it just surprises me that you don't hear more.
Yeah, well, during the day when we can see, they're hidden. So.
Yeah.
All right. With that, thank everybody for showing up tonight. Pretty nice crowd. Next month we are in negotiations yet for next month, so stay tuned. March we will probably have some type of in lieu of nest box seminar. We may have some cavity nesting things to bring to you, and then in April we're going to have Sumner Matson talking about blackneck stilts. So that's what we have so far. hopefully as we get further in the spring, we get out more, do some things, everybody, behave, enjoy life, and live long and prosper, I guess.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Renee.
Yes.
Thank you,
very much.
Renee.
Yes.
Thanks, Renee.
Thanks, Renee.
Thank you.
Thanks. Have a
Bye.
great evening.
My pleasure. Thank you all.